Welcome to World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss, the podcast for busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners who want to travel smarter, save money, and plan unforgettable trips without the stress. I'm Ross, your host and the founder of Itinerary Boss. I spent a decade building a career in healthcare, software, and medical device sales while planning both personal and business trips across more than 20 countries. Whether it was group getaways with friends, couples trips, or just mapping out business territories, I became the go-to person for saving money on flights, organizing those logistics, and using points to elevate the experience. Now, as an entrepreneur and business owner, I help others do the same by showing you how to travel better using points, smart planning, and those proven strategies. Each week, we bring you expert guests, step-by-step tutorials on points and miles, and real-world itineraries that we've used to help you plan with confidence. Whether it's using points to travel better, exploring a new destination, or just learning how to maximize your spending, we've got you covered. Before we dive in, go ahead and grab one of our free tools in the show notes. One, the points and miles cheat sheet that'll help you get started earning and redeeming points to save thousands on travel, or the stress-free travel toolkit that includes a budget guide, packing checklist, and planning tips to save you time and hassle. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or busy professional looking to choose your next credit card or get help maximizing your everyday spending for rewards and booking free travel, book a free one-on-one consultation. You can find the link within the show notes or head over to itineraryboss.com. And if this episode helps you, please share it with a friend or family member, follow the show, and leave a 5-star review. It's the best way that helps us grow. Now, let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of World Travel Made Easy. On this week's episode, I'm excited to dive into exploring Croatia on points and miles. I got the chance to go to Croatia, Split, and Dubrovnik back in 2019, and Dubrovnik still probably stands as my favorite city that I visited. I went on a group trip, so we actually just paid in cash, and we stayed at an awesome Airbnb, which I'll show. But if you're wanting to go there on points and miles, there's a lot of really good opportunities. And if you just want to pay in cash, that's totally fine too. We'll dive into, how to get there, where you can stay hotel wise. I'll also include the Airbnbs we stayed at and show you those, and then also what we did. So we were in Dubrovnik for 3.5 days, and then we were in Split for 3.5 days. And while we were in Split, we were there during Ultra Europe, a larger EDM music festival. So had a really good time. If you go there during the summer, there's a lot going on in Split, Dubrovnik, at some of the islands. So great places to go. So first, let's get through, how do you get there on points and miles? So all the major banks, so you have your Ultimate Rewards, your membership rewards, as well as Capital One Miles, all you can use those to get over there. And you also could use potentially city thank you points. And then you're going to have your hotel chains like Hyatt, Marriott, and Hilton where you can stay at. So you have one-way stop award flights that usually the main airports you're going to be able to get into are going to be Dubrovnik or Zagreb. And you can either do positioning flights where you could find great access to bigger cities like London, Paris, Madrid. And you could then use a low-cost carrier to get over to uh, Dubrovnik in Croatia, or you could find flights and availability where you go directly to Croatia, where you're going to have stops, but you go directly to Croatia. So I'm going to share my screen, and then that way you can kind of see if I was mapping this out, how it would look. So if you were to look let's just say we're looking at next year, bring this over here. Yeah, if you were to look over for next year, you could then see that when I went into here, so I use Seats.Aero. I pay for the premium version, the pro version, which gives you a year out in advance for looking for award booking. So if you're looking, I mean, I think it's worth it. It's $99 a year. And it gives you some of these advanced features. So I could go in and I typed out all United, so UAH, all United airports. I have Newark, Houston, Chicago, because those are the main hubs when I was looking into this, San Francisco and Boston. that can get you good places to go. And then you have American Airlines hubs. So you can see, and then I just typed in the two, Dubrovnik and Zagreb, just to see. And then so I filtered this and I put 28 days. That way, if I'm looking to go, let's just say next, we'll do May, because that may be a better time to go. And we'll just do this and see what we got. But you can see that when you go more into May, there's going to be not as much award availability for business class, just because that's probably when more people are flying. But you can see you're able to, see, okay, how many seats are available? What does this look like? Okay, it's 44,000 points and then 13 US dollars. It has connections. You can go down here and you can pick and just decide. So Aeroplan would be a transfer partner. All the banks that I just mentioned, you would be able to do that. I know some of you are probably most familiar with United. So if you wanted to use Aeroplan, you would just need to go sign up for a free awards membership, and then from there, you would be able to see the different transfer partners. Hey, I wanted to take a quick break to say thank you so much for tuning into the show. The only way the show grows is through listeners like you helping us share it. So if you're enjoying the show, it'd mean the world to me if you hit that 5-star rating, shared it with a friend or family member who's ready to travel more, save money, or just needs a little bit more inspiration and that nudge. And if you're posting about it on Instagram, go ahead and tag Itinerary Boss, and we'll make sure to reshare it and shout you out for giving us a shout out. Thanks so much for the support. It truly means a lot. And now back with the show. And you would go into your bank's portal and transfer those points over if once you confirm the flight. So you could come in here, you could see, okay, this is Aeroplan on Turkish Airways. We're going from we're going from Newark to Istanbul to then Dubrovnik. So this is on Turkish Airways. So this you would book via American or Air Canada Aeroplan. So you would be able to just pop over here. If you already had your membership, you would then be able to just enter that in, password, and then you'd go in here. And once you confirm the flight was there, you would then either transfer over, whichever points you have. So if that's the Ultimate Rewards, Capital One miles, or membership rewards, you would then transfer those over. Those are instantaneously. So then you could book that. If you wanted to fly economy, if you said, hey, you know what? We only want to fly business. You could then filter that. Obviously, there aren't many direct flights here, but if you were to say you were going to, let's just say you're going to London, Paris, Amsterdam, Barcelona, Madrid, places like that that are easier to access from the States, you would just do only direct flights. You could then filter this down. If you wanted it below fees, you're able to do that. Also, you can show all dynamic results, so dynamic pricing. If it's a different time of the season, you can find that. And then for here, if you're flying with 2, 4, you can then filter that. And then you can do it on your departure date. And you can choose, if you have a very strict schedule and you only can fly between 1 to 3 days, probably gonna be harder to find that award availability. But, this gives you the flexibility if you're mapping a trip out, say a year in advance, and you're like, okay, do I want to go? I don't want to go during peak summer season because maybe I don't have kids, but I want to look at shoulder season, right? Does it make sense for me to maybe look in May, early June, or does September, October look good? And you wouldn't have that September, October flight availability yet, just because, we're in June 2025. But, if you were looking at next May or April, you would be able to see that. So what I could do is I filter that down to business and then, okay, so you can't find anything. So let's then play with some other dates. Let's maybe see something that's more off peak. Okay, so yeah, there's more award availability there, but you can see that's more in that shoulder season, and that's where you get that flexibility. It's going to probably be harder to get award availability when you're going on that show in peak season around that May, June, July, August. But if you have the flexibility and you wanted to, instead of saying, okay, I have to fly from Newark to Dubrovnik, on these flights, you could then say, okay, instead, I want to fly to, we'll just say Madrid, London, do other big ones. Munich, Paris, and then we'll pop it back over to May, and then from there and then now you can see there's more options because we're flying direct, right? We're going to some of these. Okay, that's crazy. It's not, but you can see, okay, oh, it's 16,000 points, but you have those fees, those $914 in fees. So always, check that. So then from here, we also could say direct, let's do under $200 in fees, and then let's do that search. Okay. And then what you could do is you could do business. Okay, I want to see how many points I could do. And you can see there's a lot of it more availability when you do it like that. And I'm flying out of Charlotte. So if I were to take this flight, right, I could then say, okay, I'm going to fly. Let me see. I could then filter below 200 in fees. All these are high in fees. Yeah, so that's the one challenge is we have a lot of fees here with Lufthansa. So okay, so then you could do Qatar, which I mean that's great if you get Q suites to go from Dulles to Munich. So that's a good option. And let's see what we got. So you'd be flying to Doha, so that's not a good route. But anyways, there's plenty of ways to get there that are going to be, you would just have to strategically map that out. And it looks like we could get rid of Munich because it looks like that's the one that's giving us a lot of fees. Okay. So that's not bad. I mean, the points value is, but you could do, I mean, if you wanted to just do economy, 23,000 points to Madrid, that's not bad. So start to look at those. And I think that's a good way to just get started on, if you are routing and you don't have a ton of points, but you do want to go to Croatia, then what you could do is you could say, okay, let's just say you flew to Madrid, Madrid to Dubrovnik. So then you have, right, you could just say, okay, I want a round trip because I'm going to fly back out of Madrid, or I just want a one way. And then you can see that flight is this is prime time peak season. So that's pretty inexpensive. But let's just say you're going in like September, October. You could find a date where, that flight's going to be $114 and even less into October. So that's the thing is usually it's just getting over there is kind of the main thing that you want to do. And then once you figure out your route, then you're able to then you're pretty much able just to you're good to go. So then once you get over there, I absolutely love Dubrovnik. We stayed here. This was our Airbnb. We absolutely loved it. It was a great view. We had six of us. So this was, we needed this, but we were right near the city center. Obviously, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you know that this is what the, what this all is. And you'll definitely want to do the Game of Thrones walking tour. And I'll share, the link that we did, which we really liked but a couple places that you can stay on points. So in Dubrovnik, I'm going to go through a couple of the Hyatt hotels. I have not stayed here, but when doing some research, these are the ones that you can stay on points. So you have the hotel, this one, the Dubrovnik. In this one, you actually can stay. It's on 25,000 points. It's Hyatt, so you could transfer those ultimate rewards over. So you're getting a great deal here, which I mean, it's very central, which I think is huge. And you're right on the water. So that's a good one. Then you have the Hotel Bellevue, which it looks like is right around 25,000 points as well. It's about a 20-minute walk to Old Town, but it's cliffside, with a beach bar. So let's go find some of there we go. So yes, you have this overlooking, you have different bars. So this would be a good one too if you wanted to stay on Hyatt points. And then you have the Hotel Compass Dubrovnik, which this is 4-star seafront. right there, which is a good one. So you could stay there also, 20,000 points, and that is you could transfer those ultimate rewards over. Then you have the Hilton Imperial Dubrovnik. So this is one. It's a it's steps from Old Town, which I think is huge. I mean, it's just location, location. So that's another one. If you had Hilton points, or if you wanted to transfer those over from any of the transfer partners, and then you also have the Sheraton Dubrovnik Riviera Hotel, and that's about a 15-minute walk from Old Town, and that's just right there on the beach. So you have a couple good options from a point stay. Again, we stayed at this Airbnb, which I'll drop the link in the show notes, which I really liked. We loved. I mean, you did have to hike down some stairs, as you can see, but I mean, waking up to this view every single morning and then this view in the evening was awesome. And we actually got to see, this is pretty cool. We got to see fireworks um, just like this, which was awesome, and we really liked. So can't recommend Dubrovnik enough. If you look at my Instagram bio, that's actually my favorite city I've been to. So definitely go check that out. When you're there, you're definitely going to want to do the Game of Thrones walking tour. You can do that on your own, or you can do that with a guide, and I'll include the links to the one that we did with a guide in the show notes. Can't recommend that. That takes about 2 hours, and it can take longer, if you want to. Definitely walk around the old town. I think just do a full day of walking. Do the Game of Thrones walking tour, and then that can lead into walking. And then from there, another day, you'll definitely want to ride the cable car up to the top with some panoramic views. That was pretty cool. There's also a restaurant up top. They may have changed the name since we went prior to COVID, but that's something you'll definitely want to get. You can get lunch, dinner. We didn't have a reservation when we went up, but we went up at like a 3, 4 p.m. So if you're getting in, say in the mid to late afternoon, that could be a good option to just go get the cable car up, go have some drinks there before you go out that evening. From for dinner perspective, there's a bunch of different restaurants down within uh, the old town, and we didn't have reservations for a lot of them. We just went and sat down and ate at a couple places, which it was pretty easy just to walk up and sit down. So, and we went in mid-July of the summer of peak season. And then you could also do, if you wanted to, you could do a kayak and snorkel along the coast. So that's usually they have half day tours for that. We'll drop that in the show notes. We had planned to do that, but then last minute we actually um, found out something else that we wanted to do, which I'll show you, which was go to Bawa, which is it's probably the coolest restaurant I've been to. So you have to get there. So this is it right here. You have to get there only by boat, so you can actually charter a yacht or just a boat with a private driver if you have a group. Um, and you can get that through Sea Radar, which we'll actually share in the show notes. That's what we went through, but it's great. They bring you up fresh fish up, and you would just have to make a reservation, rent this cabana. And it's awesome. If you watch the show Succession, they actually recently just highlighted this. So that's a really good place you're definitely going to want to go to. A couple other places there's some hidden bars. So it's Booza Bar 1 and 2. So these are you'll have to kind of walk around it. It was hard to find on Google Maps when you're walking through the city. With the old city, just type it into your phone and you'll be able to then it'll take you there, but you're just going to have to pay attention. But there's there's a you'll sit there right next to the sea. They have a bar. It's really cool. It feels like a hidden gem, and there's not a lot of people. You kind of get away from the madness, which is awesome. And then there's also some cliff jumping if you want to do that. So bring a bathing suit. If you wanted to take the Lucrum Island Air Ferry, you can do that and just have a half day there and just do hiking. There's different small beaches. But that's what we did in Dubrovnik. You can just go down to the beach, relax. So it's great. There's a ton to do, and just go relax and enjoy your time. And then from there, we actually took a bus, which I'll include in the show notes, that took us up to Split. It was about a 3.5 hour, 4 hour trek. It was a group bus. If you wanted to rent just a private one, you could. If you wanted to rent a car, you could as well. But once we got to Split, there's a couple hotel options that you can stay at. So you have the Le Meridien Lave Split, which is right on the beach. So that would be a good point. That would be a good points place to stay. It's about 5 miles south of the center city. But if you just wanted a beach escape, that's a good one. You then have the AC Hotel Split. So that's right near the city center. This is where we pretty much stayed in the city center. If you're trying to be closer, walkable, everything, you could do this. And this is one that, from what I found online, it's about 30,000 points a night. And you could also stay at the Hilton Hotel Vestibule Palace, which is 45,000 points from what I found a night, if it'll pop up. But that's actually located within, so that's an SLH. It's actually located in one of the main palaces here in Split, which is cool. And then lastly, if you're a Hyatt, you have the Brig Boutique Hotel, which is right there up on the beach. And this is one that you can transfer those ultimate rewards over. So if you wanted to also find different hotels, what you could do is similar to um you get a search, you could do, or let's do Split. It's wrong, Split. So you go to Split and you could then see, yeah, since we're doing this prime time, that's why it's going to be so much more. We'll just do October 1st to there, and we'll do 3 nights. So yeah, so you could then see that you could then get the Boutique Hotel, standard room for 30,000 points, the La Meridian Live for 61, and then 42. So you can see, and also what I like is in the red, it'll show you, should I book this, or should I just pay in cash? And since you're getting less than 1 cent per point, you probably should just pay for cash with these or find an Airbnb. This one is 1 cent per point. So, it's okay if you had a ton of ultimate rewards points that you wanted to transfer, but we're always shooting to get 2 cents per point at if possible. So if there were transfer bonuses going on, that would be good. But let's go to, didn't do October, I think. So let's go here, select. That's probably why it's so yeah, so that's how you could go in. You just come type in rooms.arrow, search, if you wanted to find and just for, people for let's do explore. So you could then choose if you're strictly IHG, Hilton Honors, Marriott, World of Hyatt, you could choose that. If you weren't going to do Dubrovnik, you could then type in your destination here. If you just wanted to see, I want to see all World of Hyatt and I want to see everything in, let's just say I'm going to Thailand. You could then do that too. So, and that'll show you kind of different places. I have US and Thailand, but then it shows you there, shows you suite room, it shows you dates, it also shows you the standard room. So, and it gives you the cost if you were to pay cash. So this would be good because this is over 2 cents per point. But that's something we like to use is that rooms.arrow. And while you're in Split, You'll definitely want to walk through the historic center. There's Diocletian's Palace. There's St. Duge's Cathedral. There's also Petersdale Square. You'll definitely want to visit Khaleesi's Fortress. That's also where Game of Thrones was filmed. If you wanted to, you could do day ferries. They have them to Havar, Brock, Salta, Basivo, and the Basivo's Blue Caves. And if you're going during the summer, a lot of the times Havar will have like they pretty much had another Ultra on top of Ultra Europe that we did not go to, but there's options there. During the summer, they usually have Yacht Week that comes to Split. So if you wanted to do a boat experience or a Yacht Week experience, you could do that. And also just do beach days. That's kind of what we did in Split. We like to enjoy that. But we absolutely loved Dubrovnik. The food there, I'm not gonna. Bawa is the only restaurant that I'm gonna drop just because I know it's still open since we went before COVID. A lot of the ones we didn't make reservations, we just walked in, but there's plenty of options that you can find. But octopus salad was one of our personal favorites. We obviously are going to try grilled fish. Their white wine's really good. Black risotto was phenomenal. Any type of seafood we loved. Bawa had seafood platters that were really good. And then in Split, they have so many different restaurants that you can walk into. There's light Mediterranean dishes, seafood, but I'm the type of person if I'm somewhere, I'm going to eat seafood pretty much the whole time. So I would just highly recommend that. But that's all we got today. If you like, if you're trying to get there on points, a lot of different options. If you want to do a mix of cash and points, I think the thing is it's great during the summer, but also, during shoulder season, that's a great way to find some of those really good points deals. And if you want to go to just some other countries while you're there, just because I've always thought through this, so you could do, let's do just so you can see. So if you're wanting to do those two, there's a couple other places that are on my list. So you could, if you wanted to, you could pop over to Italy. Montenegro is great. I've heard great things about Montenegro. And then it also, if you wanted to pop down to Albania, that's a very popular place. It's up and coming and popular. Obviously, Greece, everyone knows about. But yeah, if you wanted to do that, Albania, there's a lot of different. So you'd fly into Turin and then you would come down to, if you wanted to, this is one of the more popular beaches that I've been looking at. And then you have obviously other islands, but that's how you could kind of map it out. And yeah, if you wanted to go to Montenegro, where are we at? So you would go, yeah, so you could come down here and it's so that's that you have a couple options and you can go other places, but that's kind of what's over here if you're trying to pop over to other countries. But if you're trying to get there, if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a comment, shoot us a DM. Those are all really good places. We'll drop everything we listened in the show notes. And if you have any feedback, please let us know. Make sure you subscribe, share this with a friend or family member that wants to travel or isn't interested in Croatia. And if you really like this episode, feel free to give us a 5-star review. That helps us grow the show and reach more people who are trying to travel. We will talk to you next week.